Hi everybody. Today's story is my journey through perimenopause and into menopause. It's a story of realizing that I needed to slow down and actually listen to what my body was telling me. And when I did that, my journey became a lot easier. And I hope that this story can give you some comfort and insight into your own journey through perimenopause and into menopause. So that being said, enjoy today's episode and I will see you in the next episode. In 2019, I went for my routine woman's check, something that I don't really relish, but it's something that we all have to do, so off I went. I was shocked to find out that I was in perimenopause. As far as I was concerned, everything was normal. I felt normal. I had no symptoms of anything, no hot flushes or anything like that. And I left the doctor's office feeling a little bit unsure, not really knowing what to expect. It was something that I'd never really kind of thought about even, because as far as I was concerned, I was way too young to be going through that. But anyway, there I was. So off I went, feeling a little bit numb and a little bit confused and not really knowing what to do next. So the first thing I decided was, okay, I need to speak to my mum and find out about her experience of perimenopause and menopause. Unfortunately, my mum could remember very little. She, as far as she was aware, didn't have any symptoms. Unfortunately, my mum had had to have a hysterectomy like quite young. So she had obviously gone through it in her own way, but not in the same way that I would be going through it. So then I thought, okay, well, I'll ask my gran. My gran was still around. So I went off to my gran, spoke to her about it. And obviously for her, she was in her 90s at that point. No, sorry. Yeah, she was in her 90s. So it was a long time ago. So she told me what she could remember, but it didn't really help as to, she couldn't remember time frames, how long she went through it, how long the hot flushes lasted, all of those things she'd kind of forgotten. So I was still none the wiser, really. At that point, I wasn't experiencing any symptoms. I was just aware that it was looming on the horizon like a dark cloud. I continued to do research as to, what I could potentially expect. And it wasn't until late in 2020 that I realized something was changing. My cycle was starting to slow down and eventually stopped. That happened quite quickly. And then the hot flushes started. I mean, it did start actually earlier because I hadn't even really realised that I'd wake up in the night and I'd be absolutely drenched in sweat, and I thought, well, it's just because I'm hot. Didn't really think too much of it because I wasn't having any hot flushes other than that night, and it wasn't really keeping me awake. I'd wake up once maybe and I would be soaking, and then I'd just kind of change my t-shirt and go back to sleep. So yeah, end of 2020, the hot flushes started like properly. And at first it was gradual, and then it got worse and worse and worse until eventually I was having hot flushes like every 20 minutes during the day and during the night. It was horrendous. I wasn't sleeping, and then I couldn't nap during the day. I would, as soon as I lay down, I would just get extremely hot and just feel anxious and frustrated, and I was exhausted. I just felt out of control. It was the worst feeling. And nobody could really tell me how long this was going to last. Some people said, oh no, it's a couple of years. Some people said, oh no, I've been going through it for 15 years. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Didn't really want to go the HRT route because I've always been like wanting to do things naturally and not have to rely on things like that. But the more research I did, the more I realised that actually there is a place for it for some people, and maybe that person was me. Maybe it is something I should be looking at. Obviously in 2020 we were in lockdown, and I don't think that really helped with the stress levels and everything. I kind of dealt with it for a few months to a year, I think it was, until it got to the point where I just couldn't anymore. I had been aware of Yoga Nidra before all of this started because I used it for to help me train my awareness for lucid dreaming. Obviously there's a lot more to it than that as well. So I thought, okay, I'm going to try and do this during the day. And I just found a short practice just to help calm my nervous system and everything during the day, because I was so exhausted, didn't really know what else to do. And so I tried that, and it actually worked, because the short practices, my hot flashes were so often that I would just about manage to get in a 15-20 minute Yoga Nidra, and it literally took my awareness and my consciousness and just helped me to check out and get rest and recuperation, and it was like a reset. So I did that pretty much every single day towards the end of 2020, and well, since then I've trained to be a facilitator now because I really see the benefit in it. And also I trained subsequently to be a sleep coach, because I saw I wasn't sleeping. I'd gone from being like the ultimate sleeper to not sleeping at all. I'd always get my 8 hours in every night without fail. I went to, I'd be lucky if I get 5 hours. I really dived into finding out how I could work through this without going the HRT route. Eventually though, I relented. I went to the doctor and I was like, okay, you got to help me. I can't, I was doing Yoga Nidra. It was helping a lot, but I still, regardless of that, was going out in the day, in the shops, like feeling like I was burning up from within. And so it was just awful and actually very embarrassing, because you just feel this heat rising and you can't control it. And she prescribed me an HRT patch, which was amazing. So I tried it and brought it home. I wore it for 2 weeks. In the morning I woke up, the hot flashes went. It was amazing. It worked like a charm. I was so happy and so relieved. I was actually getting some sleep. But then the one morning I woke up and my thyroid had swelled up. I was like, what the hell is this? It's worrying. I actually didn't even know that my thyroid was there, to be honest, until I could feel it. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? So I went back to the doctor, or I phoned the doctor, and she said, okay, stop taking the HRT immediately. Obviously, you've had a bad reaction to it. Go to the doctor. I had to go through tests and biopsies, and that brings its own stress. And I just decided I'm just going to be hot. I'm just going to deal with it, because I'd rather do that than jeopardize my own health. And look, I definitely think that there is a place for many women to have HRT, and I'm not dissing it in any way. It just didn't work for me particularly. So I would never, try and dissuade somebody from trying it if they wanted to. And I think that you should try it. And then there's lots of different types of HRT. There's not just patches, there's creams, there's pills, there's injections, there's all kinds of ways that you can do it. So basically that left me with the heat and just basically working through it. But I tried different things. I explored different avenues. I did experiments with my food and different, things like caffeine and alcohol and sugar. All of those things I realised were massive triggers for hot flushes. Exercise, that was another thing. I realised that the only time that I didn't have a hot flush was when I was exercising. So I was teaching Zumba at that point, and I realised that during my classes, no hot flushes at all. So I went from having a hot flush every 20 minutes to nothing. And it was only while I was exercising. So I'd go hiking on the mountain and I wouldn't experience any hot flashes at all. I'd go out and I'd sit in nature, and I realised the hot flashes had completely stopped in those moments where I was out. So that was a really big point for me, because I started to see the correlation between my nervous system and my hormonal system, and how they work together. And anything that triggers your anything that triggers your nervous system obviously has an effect on your hormones, or lack thereof. So I made that huge realization, and I began to piece together a way of being that that was very soothing for me. And I embraced my relaxation time. I embraced my time in nature, and I was very conscious of my diet and what I was putting into my body. And obviously, I didn't stop having a glass of wine every now and then, but then you have to realize what will happen if you do. So then, thankfully, over the next few years, my hot flushes have completely gone, and I'm sleeping again. And I haven't needed to explore any more kind of HRT or anything like that. So I would really encourage you to remain curious, ask questions. Don't fall into the trap of, like I nearly did, of like going, oh no, I'm going into menopause, my life is over, because it's not. It's a new lease on life, and I actually feel more empowered now than I did before, because let's face it, to have a monthly period is, horrible. Women have to deal with this all the way through their lives, and then when it's gone, you're like, oh, that's awesome. So, out of all of it, that is amazing. So I hope that you have gained some insight from this story podcast. I'd really love to inspire you to be curious and take care of yourself. Ask questions, and if you need to reach out to me, then you're more than welcome to, because in this day and age when we're like running from one thing to another, it's important to actually stop. And I think going through menopause really made me realise how important that was. So enjoy your day, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.